Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey, hello there, and how are you? Welcome. Another clear blue sky in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in August the 4th. It is a Tuesday. All of the preceding information you undoubtedly already knew. I am just tap dancing for time, and before I say, Susan, welcome.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
So, Suze, you got any news?
No, other than I have this little puppy fast asleep next to me.
Oh, I'm glad the little puppy's fast asleep. I thought this interview might be, this show might have a lot of little yips.
I have a backup plan.
You do?
I do, but right now
he's asleep.
finagled himself onto the bed after we got up and had breakfast and played for a little while, and then he is now flat on his back with his arms, at his side, sleeping.
Susan got a puppy this weekend.
I did. I got a puppy for my birthday.
That's nice. I'm glad.
Well, most of it's nice. Some of it ain't so nice.
I know, I'm sure. But
I was a little short-sighted to give away all my old furniture, buy my new furniture, and then
get a puppy. That's right. That is correct.
But things are things, and puppies are puppies, and there is an order of importance, and so there's that.
Well, I'm glad. You got the right attitude.
Yeah. Well, listen, the furniture ain't producing endorphins. The puppy is.
Aw, you're loving it.
Yeah. How can you not love a little
You tell me
sweetheart?
I don't know.
I mean, he had his first doctor's appointment yesterday with me anyway, and he walked in, and promptly the whole office fell in love with him.
Yeah, well, of course, it's a
And
puppy.
then we get him back to the examining room and put him on the cold table and have to sit there and wait. And what does he do? He goes to sleep.
That's cool. He's a chill puppy.
Right. The nice lady vet comes in, and he sort of wakes up and gets a little nervous, and she grabs a handful of treats, and he loves her so much he can't stand it. He would do anything as long as she kept giving him treats through the whole thing.
Well, this will be true until he's an old dog. Right.
But then he didn't want to leave.
Food.
And then we had to drag him out of the doctor's office.
Well, that'll eventually change, I am sure. I don't know any dog who eagerly goes to the vet.
I don't either. Well, he didn't eagerly go, but he was perfectly prepared to stay.
All right, for those of you who are wondering, it is, the vet thinks mostly beagle.
Mostly beagle.
But something big
There's a
in
little
there.
sign that there might be a little German Shepherd around his cheeks.
What do you mean around his
Just the
cheeks?
hair changes slightly and the whiskers are slightly different. But that just serves to probably make him a little smarter.
Well, yeah,
then
I mean,
he
if
just
he's
came up
if
and grabbed the puppy.
who did? Who did?
Plan B, I call her.
Oh, okay. All right. So is the puppy gone?
Yes, well, he's just snuggled in Leah's neck and is.
All right. Okay. Well,
that's it.
All right. Enough, puppy. We can't do this.
I'm sorry.
No, I brought it up, and because we had to, and I'm so happy for you, and I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so what? I mean, you think everything else that we're going to talk about is going to be horrifying and depressing?
I hope to prove you wrong.
Oh, good.
But I don't think I can.
When I'm right, I'm right.
Yeah, well, okay, here. I've got some things that aren't depressing exactly. They're just sort of, Susan.
Here. I got one. The gauge that they've been measuring methane gas with, apparently, when it's got two components. One is a low measure, and then one is a high measure. And when and the low measure at a certain point clicks off when it's too high, and the high measure is supposed to go on, except that apparently it doesn't. So there's a good chance that our methane gas measurements are far below
what they really
think
are.
They are, which affects all sorts of things, notably climate change. But anyway,
well,
we
how
don't
could such a major snafu be?
Well, the guy that
throughout
invented part of it is the guy that's saying so.
Oh my God!
So, I mean, there are people that go,
Okay.
nah, that didn't happen, and we checked. But
Can we? I just time out. Alex, we're getting. I don't know if this has to do with you. I don't know if this has to do with you. I'm getting people telling me that our website, the City Paper site, is showing yesterday's show. Okay, Alex will get right on that. All right, Suze.
Okay, I have nothing else. That was just my depressing start. What were you going to talk about?
Well, I didn't hear that. That's really incredible. I mean, given the rollout yesterday of the president's new energy.
Yeah, well, it was in some paper that I was reading this morning.
Okay, all right. Have you heard like you know what OMG means, right?
I think it means, oh my God.
Right. And BFF?
Best friend?
Best female friend, right?
Well, I just, never knew what that second F was for.
Well, what
I thought it was best fucking friend.
No, well, that might be that too. And what were some of the other?
There's a whole lot. There's all sorts.
Do you know
of them.
a lot
I'm never
of?
sure because they're used. They seem to be used differently.
Okay.
Like LOL
is laughing
out loud, or lots of laughs, or I mean, people use it in different ways.
All right. What about LMAO?
Like mother always offered.
No. Okay. No. LMAO is laughing my ass off.
Oh.
Isn't that clever?
Very.
Yeah. Okay, I'm giving you another one. RBF.
Really, best friend? Rare beef flat steak.
Rotating buffalo fungus.
Yeah.
Well, look.
Red butt fart.
Red butt fart. Jesus, Susan.
What?
Red.
I've been living with a puppy. It's brought down my intellectual.
RBF. Okay, this
well, clearly I don't know, and it's not as easy to bullshit the answers to these things as it is everything else you ask.
Okay. It says here that it is a meme on the internet. What isn't?
Oh, I know what that is. Something bitch face.
Resting.
What is
resting bitch face?
Oh, resting bitch face, which I have.
Well,
Always
I
have.
think
I mean,
I think I do too. Here.
Yeah, when I was giving speeches in my erstwhile political career,
but
the only criticism I'd ever get of my speeches was that I looked so serious, and I would look at them and I go, well, what I was talking about
was serious.
Was serious.
Well,
why are you supposed to be smiling while delivering dire news?
This is what's fascinating. I didn't know there was such a term, but Susan read the article too. It was in the Times on Sunday. And RBF, guys, mostly gals, means resting bitch face.
And that means when you let your face relax into its... A woman lets her face relax into its natural facial expression, it comes out sort of a
angry,
mouth turned down.
A woman's resting face is perceived as angry or bitchy or depressed or all negative. A woman's resting face. Here, I'm doing my resting face.
Well, no one's going to see it if they're showing yesterday's show.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the monitor. Hang on. Yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the interesting thing. RBF is never applied to men. It is only women who suffer from resting.
Well, that's because that would be. Well, no, I can't do that.
Resting bitch face. And apparently a lot of actresses are being caught and photographed looking, not on, just natural. And they're being embarrassed by showing their faces without the female, sort of uplifted smile. Welcoming, warm, which is what women are supposed to look like. Anyway, there are a ton of women who are now, they really, it's such a sexist issue, Susan.
Yes, it is. No, because we're just supposed to, anybody that thinks that the world hasn't changed, women are supposed to sit around, look pretty, look pleasant,
that's right.
And always non-confrontational, and that's it.
That's right.
Anything else is going to have a negative connotation. If you are smart and aggressive and good at what you do, a man would be praised, and a woman is told to cool it.
Here's some anecdotes. Here's a 22-year-old. She's at a law firm interning, and she says her trouble began in kindergarten when her school's headmaster summoned her to his office, quote, because he thought I looked unhappy. From that day on until he left the school when I was in the 7th grade, she says, he would say, "Smile, Nora," every time he saw me. These are the cues that women are always getting, that if their face is at rest, someone will say to you, "Are you okay? What's up? Are you upset?" When you're just sitting there. It's happened to me too. Who doesn't it happen to? A resting face does not have a smile on it. It's mind-boggling. And here's another woman. She said, I Botoxed away my furrows so people didn't think I was angry. And she said, and I noticed that people then were warmer to me. I swear. I bet that's true.
Yep.
So plastic surgeons are saying they actually get women in their office saying, stop my mouth from turning down. I need to get rid of my RBF. This makes me crazy.
Well, I would like a chin before I get rid of my RBF. And by the way, it is still yesterday's show.
Alex, do you think this problem is more to do with Carlos than us?
I'm trying to call him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. We are sorry. I am told that the show is up on YouTube and up on there, but it's just that the website, in fact, we do tell people to go to, Pittsburgh City Paper, is showing yesterday's lamentable product as opposed to
today's sparkling.
Yes, this more lighthearted show. And I'm sorry. Getting the end of yesterday's show, Margie writes. Aaron, who seems to be listening to the show, writes, my brother just called it at lunch on Sunday. So he says, Aaron saying, this is for men too, RBF. I've gotten it many times. Come on, stop. Oh, no, it's the opposite. He says, come on, stop smiling and give me that natural sneer, he was quoted. I don't know. Okay, ha ha. Women really get it. Women really, we get it coming, going, and...
Yeah, you can't win. And when you do win, you're in trouble.
So, I mean, and the article went on to say that, every study shows that men find serious women less sexually attractive. Also, women also, studies show, do smile more than men do, but they also have higher rates of depression. So their smiling constantly is really about socialization, being taught to.
Right.
I remember Dad always telling me to smile because he said, "You have such a beautiful smile." And I was just like, I was always wanting to smile.
Answer your phone.
I can't because now Alex is out looking for help. There's no one to man the shop. Poor Alex. Celine's on vacation.
Whoever it is, caller, just give us a minute.
Well, they can't hear. They're not going to hear that until another. Well, look, this show's going to hell in a handbasket. Oh, man. Okay, so anyway, some people are listening, Susan, so we go on.
Okay.
Psychiatrists say that men's faces are not looked at like this. We don't look at their moods. And if women do not look pleasant or happy or upbeat, we are perceived as bitches.
Right.
But the scary thing...
But at the same time, I mean, what's that whole thing about we're supposed to be funny, men like funny women, blah, 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 except that there's that whole thing that women can't be funny. And women comedians have an impossible time. So it's all just, no, if you are what we say we want, we don't want you to be that.
I don't know. Well, I think Amy Schumer, who's in the news today, has put to rest the idea that women can't be funny.
Well, there's been a gazillion women
funny
comedians.
Women. I know. So, but the scary thing is we all make judgments about people based on our sort of immediate impression and perception that we pick up from facial cues. And, we find people more trustworthy who, look pleasant. We find people, all kinds of stuff. I mean, people who look happy all the time are just deemed to be better people. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Resting bitch face. Something now that women can be concerned about. We have a call. Hello? We do not have a call. All right. What a...
Cue resting bitch face.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here with my RBF on until all of this gets resolved. Okay? Oh, God. So...
All right, sorry. Back to Susan.
What? We're okay?
Yeah, she's back.
Am I on now?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean you were off? I didn't even know
I
you
was
were
off.
Oh, dear God in heaven.
Hang in, Alex. We forgive you.
Susan just said, hang in, Alex. We not only have Alex up here now, we got Carlos. And if Carlos can't fix us, we're in real trouble. Okay? I mean, everybody's telling me the same thing here. Okay. Oh, the website has yesterday's video. The audio, however, is today's.
Now that's a high-class problem.
Oh, my God. That is
The
funny.
link you'll go to not putting my picture up, is it behind you?
Oh. Where's honest to Pete suit here? I'll just hold it.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll hold it here. As soon as you see Susan's pleasant face, then you know that you're
Right. No,
getting
but
the right.
I was faking a smile because my natural expression is RBF.
Don't have to refresh the page a few times.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep plugging along here. Suze, there was this mind-boggling story in our local paper over the weekend. And I didn't talk about it yesterday. But do you remember there was a kerfuffle recently when a photo of Queen Elizabeth as a child was...
Yes, so making the Nazi, she was like all of 5 or 6, and she was making the Nazi salute.
She was making the Nazi...
Probably learned from her uncle.
Yeah, right. And she was doing the Nazi salute, and I think her little sister, who was all of 2 or 3, was doing the same. And it caused a big stir. However, in Sunday's local paper, there's a picture, Susan, that would blow your mind. It is a picture taken in May of 1934 and shows a whole ton of little kids right here in Pittsburgh. And the American flag is being raised.
And they're making the Nazi salute.
They're facing the flag and going like this. This is 1934, and so is like their teacher who's behind them. She's really doing it. And just to add to the astonishment that I felt when I saw the picture is of little Jewish kids in Pittsburgh who were at what was called the Irene Kaufman Settlement House, which was like a community center that was established for children of immigrants and others, right? I thought, what in the name of God is going on here? And then it turns out, how did I not know this? That the way we salute the flag is relatively new. That, in fact, Americans did this Nazi salute thing before the Germans did. And when Americans saw the Germans, Nazis, doing this and goose-stepping, that's when we stopped it, but we were startled. There's another picture of kids in 1890 saluting the flag, and they're all like this, the beginning of a Nazi salute. They've got their hands on their hearts, but it's with this straight hand. And then after, at one point, they would all then raise it up. Geez, who knew? So anyway, that's it.
Well, that's okay. I thought that whole thing with Queen Elizabeth was...
Yeah, it was a bunch of nothing, but
just you know, stupid.
Right. But this, if you see a picture in the 30s of little Jewish kids doing it, then you got to say, what the hell? And it turns out, it says here in the article, when photographs of the Nazi salute appeared on front pages across the nation, people were taken aback. In December of 42, Congress got rid of that salute and decided that the pledge would be recited with our hands over our hearts. So it was not until 1942 that we decided that's how we're going to do that. So what I thought was something we did forever, not true. We used to go like this.
Well, you did do it forever in your life.
In my life. Wow.
And now people don't even know what they're supposed to do.
What? No, now you're supposed to put your hand over your heart, no?
Well, yeah, but if you go, I mean, you know, if you go to a baseball game, you see, I don't know. I sort of think that's the one thing we can all do. We can stand up, we can put our hand over our heart, we can sing a song, and apparently we can't. We can doff our hats.
Why are you saying apparently we can't?
Well, because I just see a lot of people who don't.
Well, I don't get so worked up about that because I don't like any sort of forced...
jingoistic sort of thing,
well, I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to a baseball game not to pledge allegiance to the United States. I don't mind. You don't pledge allegiance at a baseball game. You sing the Star Spangled Banner. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. You sing this impossible
what
song.
I don't like is now you got to say you have to
now
go
you got to America the Beautiful.
Song.
No,
you got to sing God Bless
America,
America
the Beautiful. And you know why you have to do that? It turns out that Major League Baseball and football and all the others are making money off these patriotic displays they do now. Is that sickening?
It's really
sickening. Barfable. I like that word.
Well, you are welcome to use it.
So the next American doctor animal killer is a guy from here.
I noticed that.
Yep.
And that stupid, that woman who was on the Today Show yesterday, who is a big game hunter and took out a big bad giraffe.
She said giraffes can be
special relationship with the prey as she kills it. I hate to be her, special person in her life.
I love you to death.
I love you to death.
I love you to death.
I treasure you and your intelligence, and I am going to prey on you. I don't get it. I do not get. No, I'm not
I don't
a hunter,
either.
But I do not, and I am a meat eater, so that's a problem too.
Yeah.
But I do not get this taking out animals that you do not intend to use except to sport them, to hang their heads someplace or wear their hide as a trophy.
I don't either.
I do not get it.
It's sickening to me.
Especially when the animals are really in trouble.
I have a friend who has a huge African antelope of some sort's head in his living room. He did not kill it. He just found it at some flea market and thought, wow, look at that magnificent thing, and brings it home and hangs. I can't even, for a long time I never went into his living room because there is something so obscene about that. The head is so huge, I can't imagine how huge this thing was. That thing that glorious beast should not have ended up staring out a living room in Pittsburgh. No. There's something, it is grotesque.
No, my husband's parents had a family friend that lived in Florida, and that we were sort of required to visit whenever we went there. And you walk into that house, and if you didn't either want to throw up or have nightmares for the rest of your life, there were animal pelts under your feet, animal pelts hanging off of the walls. There were collections of skeletons they anything that moved, they killed it and put it on the wall.
So, Pittsburgh girl says, there's something wonderful about, she says maybe it's this thing called karma, that like this jerk doctor here and the dentist in Minnesota, now they're being hunted.
I feel the same way.
And they're on the run.
How it feels to be the prey?
Yeah.
Here you go.
How
do you like being the disadvantaged prey?
That's exactly right. It's not a fair fight, is it, when the entire world turns on you? I have no sympathy at all.
Although some would say, notably your brother, that, this guy thought he was doing a legal thing.
Yes.
And I would say that I really do get a little upset that we don't care at all, that we don't care at all about whole segments of the population of humans disappearing in front of our eyes.
Well, Susan, though, I know, but why does one outrage negate the other?
They don't have to be equivalent. They don't have to be,
It's media who doesn't like or don't like. It's always one. You can be appalled at one. If we could get to know the story of one child fleeing some godforsaken
or one lion
war,
that already
or
has
one
a name.
lion who already has a name. It's always one. It's scores, multitudes. You can't even take in.
No, I think your brain just shuts down. You can't handle how bad it is.
I do too. I remember once trying to get my head around 6 million, the Holocaust. Right. And the one way I figured is I happened to be at Three Rivers Stadium at the time. And I'm looking around, it seated 60-some thousand maybe people.
And you multiplied.
And I just looked around at that multitude. And I thought, okay, so we're going to just kill all these people and get rid of their bodies. And we're going to fill the place up again and kill all those people, and then fill the place up again and kill all the... And you know what? It doesn't do it. It doesn't do it because it's too... I don't know. Anyway, enough of this. Henry writes, your conversation today regarding faces and smiling reminds me of that preacher, Joel Osteen, who has been nicknamed the smiling preacher. If there is such a thing as a resting, bright, smiling face, that guy has it. I've seen him. Have you seen? Yeah, I've seen him. He's always smiling. It's creepy. And you know what? They tell, in television, having made my living in television at one point, it is quite clear that even anchor women are expected to have a pleasant look on their face, even if they're doing a serious story.
Right. You're supposed to smile through a mass murder story.
Not quite smile. That wouldn't look right. But
no, pleasant. Your mouth should be slightly turned up.
Slightly, never down. So, Alex, we're all right now?
Yep.
Yeah. Did Carlos know what the hell that was? No.
It was just sending, something in the code.
Who knows? Something. It's a computer thing.
But yeah, it should be good.
And we little humans, what are we to do? Ray, who despises anybody who's English and mostly despises the royal family, has written, the only difference between the royal family and the Nazis is the accent. Ray.
I don't think that's quite true.
But no, Ray.
I mean, it was true for a section of the family, but I mean, Queen Elizabeth, though she didn't have to when she was a princess,
stayed
worked actively, in the war effort. She drove. That's not fair.
There were a lot of upper crusty Brits who were Nazi sympathizers. I mean, well known. Who are those wonderful sisters? The one who wrote Susan.
I don't know, but I don't know which wonderful sisters you're talking about.
What do you mean?
We can do Gertrude Stein.
No. The wonderful English sisters, one of whom wrote that takedown of the funeral industry which then became a pretty funny movie. No. Come on, somebody. There were 4 or 5 beautiful sisters of a very upper crust British family. One, I want to say Iris, but that's not it. I'm thinking of Iris Murdoch. That's not it. One became this sort of lefty, taken on, capitalists and this and that. Another married the head of the British neo-fascist party. Another, fell in love with Hitler. I don't know. They were all over. They were mostly fascists. It was not unusual. Think of that book and then movie starring Anthony Hopkins called The Remains of the Day. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because that was set pre-World War II, and he was a butler who worked in the estate and mansion of this neo-Nazi, upper crusty Brit who was having meetings with important people, including prime ministers and stuff. I mean, it was the British and that fascism was, I think, yeah. But Ray, Yeah, the Mitford sisters. Thank you, Griffin. Jessica Mitford? Susan.
What?
You don't know Jessica Mitford?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, somewhere a hole in your education.
Yeah.
Hey, I should have dropped this into when you were talking about, at least Americans could all, like, put their hands on their hearts and yada, yada, yada. Did you, I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but Susan, the University of New Hampshire has put out a bias-free language guide for its students.
Okay, I'm already aggravated, but go ahead.
Of course you are. The word American is described as problematic.
What am I, a United Statesian?
Yes, that would be better. You are a citizen of the United States.
Well, I'm not Americans do forget that there are more than one country.
That's right.
In the
America is the designation South America, North America, taking in
basically
Canada
the
and all.
Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, the whole friggin' Western Hemisphere was called America, but we grabbed the term American. But I'm sorry, it's understood as that. And they say that just shows that we're, They also, they warn against using the word mothering.
Because now father's mother.
Some. Do
Oh,
you believe it? Do you believe this?
No. It's probably impolite to suggest that only women can have babies.
Yeah, and Jessica Mitford wrote a book called The American Way of Death.
Well, that I've heard of.
Okay, well, that was hers. But she had a bunch of fascists for sisters, I'll tell you. And I'm
well,
sure...
some of the nicest people can be fascists. I mean...
some of my best friends are fascists.
Yes. Some of my family.
We all have a fascist or two in the family. All right. Okay. So, Susan.
Yes.
I said to Alex when I came in, I said, is it hot in here? And he said, yeah, it seems a little warm.
Oh, you know why? Because they took it off man temperature?
Yeah, front page New York Times today about the fact that women all over America are freezing to death in their place of employ. And it turns out that whatever the system is that skyscrapers and big office buildings rely on how to set the temperature is based on the metabolism of men, which I have to tell you is not the same as that of women.
No, and not only that, but in the 60s, the customary office attire for men was at least a two-piece suit, if not a three-piece suit. So they're
covered
50 times more clothing than women's clothing allowed for.
And then in the summer, women, can have a sleeveless a gauzy little thing so they don't, die of...
And the men are still wearing the suit.
Yeah. But whatever, they're saying it ain't going to change soon for whatever reason. I don't know, but this is still a man's world. So women, talk about climate change and how this such a waste of energy of cooling things well beyond where they need to be. And that we all need to re-educate ourselves and to suck it up a little bit about what is considered cool.
Right. Well, did
in
you read
the summer.
The article a week ago about how Europeans think Americans are citizens of the United States are just nuts because
we like it so cold.
Because they consider anything under over 75 too hot. And I, for one, am one of them, but I run so hot that I can't, I'm just in a puddle of sweat.
All the time. I am too. So
especially at night when trying to sleep.
Yeah, when Celine and I are in here, I'm okay. because women of a certain age have little furnaces inside of them. But Celine is just, I have a, that's mine. I brought that in years ago. Here, I'll show everybody. It's
A little portable fan or something.
No.
No,
friggin' it's a poncho thing you can wrap around. It's wonderful. But she lives in that now. And I had that before I became a menopausal old lady with a furnace inside. So I don't need it anymore. But man, the waste of energy, the stupidity. People are always complaining. They go to a movie and they're freezing. Right?
Right, and not only, yeah.
And deafened, not to mention deafened.
Oh, honestly, I can bring a sweater into a movie, but I resent having to bring earplugs. And I swear they do damage with those.
Oh, I'm sure.
With those, that is.
Yeah.
I don't understand how somebody isn't on them for that, and somebody doesn't sue them for that. It's crazy.
And what they end up doing, though, is
surveys I answer, by the way, when someone would send me a survey about the local movie theater, and that's what I would complain about.
Too loud.
Yes, I'll tell you something. In the nice little theater that sort of catered to older people that I used to go to in St. Louis, and it was all art films and that sort of stuff. They only played the good movies. They actually were the only ones that weren't blaring, and so there your big problem was that the only thing you could hear was the buzzing of everybody's hearing aids. And then I had to stop making fun of that when Eric started buzzing right along.
Yeah. So, I don't know. The strange sort of circular nature of the loud sound of a movie theater or other things that are on too loud is that it does damage our ears, and then we do go deaf sooner, and then we're required to notch up a little bit. I am quite certain that the younger millennials will all be wearing hearing aids in about 10 years because they constantly have audio going directly into their ears. And people who did, like disc jockeys they're all, by the time they hit their 50s, they're all hearing impaired. So I'm just saying, you go to the movies to get deafened and freeze. We have a call.
Yeah, I'm going to try again.
Okay. We're going to try not to knock you off, Susan, as we attempt to
All
take...
right, well, I won't panic.
Okay. Nobody's panicking. Except Alex. No. You did it again. Okay.
Well, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here, but the caller's gone. Okay.
Better to knock me off than the caller.
Okay, so... Susan, at least tell Alex that that's what I did all the time when I ran my own board.
This is why Alex, this is why she's not allowed to touch a button.
There's three pieces of instruction. And
there's three things you're going, 1, 2, 3, and it always worked in the past, but I don't know. Oh, boy. Okay. What next? Do you know that there's now a charge that the former British Prime Minister, Edward Heath, had sexually abused children? He's dead, but
Ugh.
It's been alleged, and they're looking into it, that some kind of criminal prosecution was not pursued in this little town when somebody threatened to expose that Sir Edward Heath may have been involved in offenses concerning children. So somebody could put the kibosh on another case because somebody was going to leak that Heath had molested children. Oh, God. You ever get the impression that for the Brits that aren't fascists, they're all child abusers?
Yes, I do.
What the hell is that about?
It's
their screwy thing with children, how they didn't parent children.
I think it's their education,
yeah.
Of the time, the education system that took children, especially young boys, away from their parents and threw them all together and educated them.
And also
way.
educated them in a sadistic, psychosexually sadistic environment.
And then left the boys to prey, the strong boys to prey upon
I know.
the younger ones.
Beyond me.
I mean, there's just gazillions of stories about that.
At least. So, hey, if you've got a teaching degree and you're looking for a job, Kansas is in desperation. Of
course, they won't pay you.
That's right. Here's the thing. They won't pay you, and they will harass you.
Right.
So no one wants to be a teacher in Kansas anymore because their Republican-controlled state legislature has created an atmosphere that is simply intolerable. Of course, the children in Kansas are not being educated anymore. They've cut funding to the schools to the point where the few teachers who really are drawn to teaching, are paying for half the materials themselves. And check this out. The latest bill to pass the Kansas Senate would make it easier to jail teachers for teaching materials deemed offensive.
Oh, good. Good.
Okay, so if
that one won't pass constitutional muster.
No. Can you imagine, though? That's the environment. So if a science teacher wants to teach evolution, now that science teacher could be jailed? Or wants to teach, some American history or climate change or American history that we don't come out in a flattering light, or some literature that, they passed a bill saying you could jail the teacher. No one wants to be a teacher there. Constantly being harassed and bashed by the governor.
I don't know that no one wants to be a teacher there. I think there's plenty of people that do. They simply cut 3,000 jobs.
No, but they have something like, I forgot, there's
a bunch of openings and no one will apply.
Yeah.
Well,
hundreds throughout the state.
The first state that accomplished the underlying plan, which is to kill public education.
That's right. That's what they did.
And anybody that doesn't think that's true is just making things up.
Here is the superintendent of a public school district. He says teachers are working many more hours, much harder. They're doing it on their own and do not have the support we should be giving them. They face constant bashing from the governor and legislature who, in my opinion, are trying to privatize education and just destroy it. So before they can privatize it, they have to destroy it and say, look, you see, government schools, they don't work. So we'll have to turn it over to the private sector that know how to run the business of an education.
Disgusting.
Kansas. What's wrong with Kansas? Just about everything. Speaking of schools, too, did you see the ACLU is suing this school district in Covington, Kentucky for doing what apparently a lot of school districts do, which is use handcuffs on children?
What?
There's video. There's video of an 8-year-old boy being handcuffed. And he's handcuffed. Handcuffs are too big. Obviously, they go right off his wrist. So he's handcuffed way up on the upper shoulder. And because of that video, they're able to finally bring charges. But it turns out that boy has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There's a girl who also had been handcuffed who is a special needs child. Generally, the children that are treated like this are special needs and minorities.
Well, I remember a case when I was on the school board in St. Louis, not St. Louis School, and it was the son of a judge in middle school who was ADHD, and the teacher just eventually couldn't deal with the constant disruption, and he in a fit of, just not thinking, but knowing that he didn't want to do anything to hurt the child, duct taped the kid to his seat. And the ACLU stepped right in, and the guy, was in terrible trouble. And he was a really good teacher and a good guy. It's
well. What do you do if you're trying to teach and you have a disruptive child?
And this kid happened to be the kid of a judge who would step in every single time, and in fact would get in the way of his kid getting the appropriate help because he didn't like any of the special education solutions.
Well, so it's a fraught area.
It's a fraught area, and you can't just go tisk tisk. You have to, when you sit inside and you hear all of the testimony, it's all very gray. But we got in trouble for duct tape, so I can't. Handcuffs are way out of bounds.
Experts say that the use of handcuffs and other restraints on children is not uncommon. And simply what makes this case unusual is that for some reason somebody videotaped it. The videotape shows that the officer, and it's a police officer of some sort.
Right. Oh, yeah, they probably called the resource officer.
Yeah, exactly, a resource officer. And he's not screaming at the kid, but he's speaking in a gentle tone as he says, now, if you're do you see? You're not allowed, so it's not, but the sight of of handcuffs up on a little boy, but in the article I read, it said that the courts have been increasingly upholding the use of handcuffs on young children. There was a recent New Mexico case in which a federal judge ruled that the use of handcuffs on a 7-year-old with autism was permissible.
Okay, that's nuts.
How is that? You have a sick child.
Cost effective. If you are not prepared to have what it takes to make that child work, which would be a a full-time shadow for that kid during the school day, so that you have one special ed aide /or teacher who is simply assigned to that child. It's very expensive.
Well, the taxpayers don't want to pay it. That's right. But so it is mandated that children with these disabilities be allowed in the public schools, right?
It's mandated that they get the least restrictive environment to learn in.
But that then requires public schools to have a lot more funding to deal in an adequate way with these special needs children.
Or to admit that if you aren't going to give the funding, that the least restrictive is not the mainstream public classroom.
Right.
And which I do not think is the right answer. I think the right answer is to let all people try and be educated together. It does work. It just requires money. And when we are prepared to pay to educate the mainstream, the able children, then those children with disabilities, whatever they may be, are really in trouble.
Speaking of education, Susan, there was a dispiriting, disquieting, distressing piece of news dealing with education here in Allegheny County. And it comes from our community college. So community college gets, obviously, a lot of the kids who go to Community College of Allegheny County are from this area. right? And community college says that almost 80%, 80, of its incoming freshmen needed at least one remedial course to be able to even handle college. Now, where were these kids coming from? What high schools? Well, okay. City of Pittsburgh.
I was going to say, whatever.
Well, listen. Yeah, 90% of kids who went to CCAC needed, almost all of them, needed at least one remedial class before they were able to handle the college level. And you would say, well, that's Pittsburgh. But then get this, Susan. A suburb of Pittsburgh, known to have an excellent school system where people leave the city so their kids can go there, Mount Lebanon. The kids from Mount Lebanon High School who went to Community College of Allegheny County, 80% needed remedial.
All right, well, let's unpack that statistic.
Okay, and let me do another rich suburb, Fox Chapel. The figure was 75%.
Yeah, again, let me
Upper
unpack
St. Clair,
that for you.
71%.
Let me unpack that for you. Of the people from that school district that chose community college, you had a very high percentage. The reason was that the majority of the students did not choose community college. They went on to very good schools, and those that did not do well in high school went on to community college, and they didn't do well in high school. They didn't learn the stuff in high school, so they're in community college, and they need the remedial work.
No, but here's what I understand.
It's going to be a higher percentage.
I understand.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, but here's what I want to say in response. I think a lot of schools, especially these suburban schools, they don't care about the kids who aren't in their AP programs and aren't going on to the...
Oh, no, they're perfectly happy to let them slip through the cracks.
They do. So our public schools, whether it's Fox Chapel, Upper St. Clair, and the fancy schmancy ones, or the Pittsburgh public schools, are failing a huge segment of their students.
And let me tell you who it is, though. It's not the kids at the very top. It's also not the kids at the very bottom, because they have services for them. It's the kids in the middle.
And they don't quite learn how to write well. They don't quite learn how to read with comprehension. And nobody cares about them because they're not the stellar students, but they're capable.
And they don't have any particular special needs, and they are not troublemakers.
So now you community college has to essentially provide the education that all these public schools did not provide.
No, it's the equivalent of the fifth year, of an extra year of preschool.
Yeah.
You aren't quite ready for college.
Right. And I know at the University of Pittsburgh, so it's not just, University of Pittsburgh is not it's hard to get in. University of Pittsburgh, a ton of students there have to take remedial courses.
I'll tell you that my kids' experience in college was that they were unusually well prepared, especially in writing, by their high school education. That a lot of kids went to college and found it difficult, and my kids went to college and found it easier than they expected. But it was because of the training that they got in these very core things, writing.
Yeah, but your kids,
well.
again, Suze, your kids are top level students. I'm talking about average Joes getting screwed. Just screwed. And it pisses me off. It really, really, really does.
Yeah,
So you can, all you snooty suburban schools, I got news for you. You ain't doing the job.
No, it's something that we've heard for years, and I've heard it about the high-performing high schools in my metro area in Missouri, and that was that those kids in the middle really, if you didn't have someone advocating for you, even if you did, you just were ignored. You weren't, just be pleasant. You'll be ignored, and you won't be required to learn anything, and you'll probably get your C. And, but that's not helpful. You get to community college there, and you also didn't learn.
So anyway.
But there are some places that do it better than the others, and and in my case, I don't think it was just my kids. I think it was the caliber of the teachers.
Well, maybe, but your district is not representative of districts.
No, it's absolutely not. I mean, the woman that taught my kids to write, when she retired, went straight to Washington University.
Okay.
She was a poet and everything else.
I just want to say part of what, and then we got to go because we're done. But I want to say that I was not adequately prepared for college myself. And I was a bright kid who got A's mostly in high school. But my high school, right, was mostly a working class high school. The vast majority of kids when I graduated did not go on to college. They got jobs in industry. When I go to my high school reunions, there are not a lot of doctors and lawyers. Believe me, there are hardly any. So, Susan, when I first became a freshman at Northwestern University, I sort of had like a nervous breakdown my first year.
Yes.
That was brought on by the fact that I was so blown away by I didn't know how to take notes. I'd never taken notes in a class. I did not know how to study for a midterm. It was at the midterms and finals that I came apart. I did not know because we didn't have finals, Susan. I didn't have to, it was unbelievable. I was totally unprepared. So I have some
too. I remember my first semester. I got a couple of C's and I even got a D, and I thought, whoa, I guess I have to do a much higher percentage of
I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it.
And by second semester, I caught up. But
Well, fine. I was a secretary. Yeah, I was traumatized. I don't know. I mean, but there was a reason for that.
Well, we were told to go and excel, and I was told to go and have C's.
We went to a school that was not college prep. It was not.
No, I think the figure was 10% of us went to college.
That was about it, if that. Okay, that's it.
Bye.
So I have a great deal of sympathy for these kids who go and are just traumatized. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. I've told you again, I'm doing another summertime long vacation-y thing. I'm going up to Green Bay, Chicago. I'm going to sleep in Susan's house tomorrow night. Right? She's gone. I'm going to sleep in Susan's house tomorrow night. So tomorrow's our last show of the week. And then coming back again next week on Tuesday. And then I'll try to calm down and stay put for a while, okay? But got to celebrate my mom's 93rd birthday. So we're all heading toward Green Bay. Toodaloo. Goodbye. Have a good day. Okay.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.